give him some little ears on the side of his head. She's got hair, so she doesn't necessarily need to have ears showing, but we're going to make sure that he's got some cute little ears. So, tiny little dot of flesh-colored gum paste. Cut it in half. And then I'm going to poke a little sort of hole in it. Handling the tiny bits is the hardest part of working with these guys. Let's see. So we're gonna put some little ears on there. And we're gonna give him blue eyes. She's got pretty brown eyes, and we're gonna give him some bright blue eyes. With hers we used a cutter, but if you don't happen to have a tiny cutter or aren't comfortable using a cutter to get little tiny circles, you can always just cut a couple of little pieces. Here we go. So just like everything else, when we want it to be symmetrical, roll one tiny piece and then split it in half. So now we're going to roll both of these into a little ball. And just like we did for the nose, just tap a tiny bit of moisture on there. There we go. And then flatten those out just a tad. There we go. Now we're going to add a hair to our groom. Obviously, if you're doing somebody who's bald, you wouldn't add any. If you wanted somebody with curly hair, a lot of the time a flower cutter works well to give the appearance of curls. You can use the clay gun if you need strands, if you want to style the hair. So we're going to make our guy with some dark curly hair. And there's two ways that you can do this. Obviously, if you're going without a top hat, you would want to just add the hair onto there as it goes. If you're doing it with the top hat, you can put the top hat on first and then cut parts of the flower off and press them flush up against the edge of where the top hat is going to go. So you can do either one. When you're doing the top hat, it does certainly work better to sometimes place the flowers last. You do have to work in a smaller space though, so if you're not used to getting into tiny spaces like that and that's a little hard for you, then you would want to just use the whole flowers and put the top hat on after the fact. So, two schools of thought there. Whichever one you use can just depend on what you're most comfortable with.